What's going on, Facebook? I think that we're live.
It says we are. So.
Awesome. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Really excited for these awesome guests today. So, yeah, let me pull up the bio real quick so I don't screw this up.
I'm so excited for these awesome guests. Let me just look up their name.
Who are these strangers?
Now, do you pronounce it David?
David?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Jime? It's Jim.
So these guys, they're award-winning actors, writers, producers living in LA. They acted in top TV shows and movies on HBO, Netflix, Amazon, ABC, just to name a few. It's kind of a big deal.
Oh, and Charlie, because I'm looking in the group, I think you're going to want to switch us over to gallery view.
I think it says that I'm in gallery view. So
you're on speaker view, and it's like watching people might have a seizure.
Oh man. I don't know if I can change that.
I think you can. No? Live on.
Did that change it?
I'll occupy people with a sweet joke.
It might take a second for it. Yep, you did it. Oh wait.
Awesome.
And then and then you undid it, I think.
All right, guys who are watching, how did Harry Potter get down the hill? Running. JK rolling.
There you go.
Are we good?
I think you did it.
Awesome. Oh, sorry about the technicals, guys. Yeah.
That Harry Potter joke.
So if you like that, hashtag Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. So yeah, as I was we were just saying.
We live.
Coaches to celebrities, entrepreneurs, and business owners. So we got Abby Wall and David Storch with us. Did I pronounce your last name, David, right? Storch?
Storch, yeah.
Love it. Awesome. How are you guys doing?
We're great. We're very excited to be in this group today. I happen to have paid my quarterly taxes last week, so I feel I'm not ashamed to be here because I'm up to date on taxes.
Awesome. There you go. David's quiet over there.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, we all did that. No, I'm good.
Awesome. I'm just gonna pull up the post too so that I have the comments I can see. Let's see here. Make sure that's muted. So
I was just going to talk while you did that. I was going to say, if anyone has specific questions, we would love to hear how you guys are currently using video in your businesses, if you are at all. So if you are using video, drop in with David, I have part 2. So if you are using video, drop in the comments how you're using video. If you're not using video, drop in the comments your number one fear when it comes to getting on camera. So then we can address those as we dive into this interview. But Charlie, it's your interview. I'll let you.
No, I love that. That's awesome. Hopefully we get some good responses on that one.
And
That's
just
exciting.
to add on, it's okay if you're watching in the replay because Abby and I can check this later, or Charlie can let us know and we'll help answer those.
Yeah, we got you covered. So let's start off by, I want to get an understanding because I get the idea that maybe a lot of these people aren't using a lot of video marketing right now. So I'd be interested to hear what the value is of video marketing, why to use it. And just curious about the value of it.
Absolutely. Well, we are in the golden age of video content. If you look at the statistics, it's expected that by the end of 2019, the year that we're in, 80% of all traffic on the internet is going to be video. So if you're not using video at this point, to be honest, you're about to be left behind. But it's not too late because David and I want to help you. But it's just, we are coming into a time where people are being marketed to on every social media platform, on every avenue. And, it's like, even you can't even watch like a YouTube video without getting hit by an ad for something. And all these, so we're constantly being marketed to, but we're shifting towards the direction of intimacy marketing, which is where people are wanting to, have that connection to the people that they're going to be hiring or working with. They want to know who the person is behind the brand, even if you are something like an accountant or a bookkeeper. They want to feel like they can trust you, and that they're going to enjoy working with you. And the best way to do that is, not just having written ad copy that, is talking about you, but actually getting on camera and giving people an opportunity to see what your personality is like and to get a sense of what that experience is going to be like working with you.
Awesome. That's awesome. And it's crazy that, that stat that you said about the 80% there, like,
yep,
it's time to make that change, guys. It sounds like, huh?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And like Abby said, it's just kind of one of those things where, like, when you're, like, for you guys, since bookkeepers and tax accountants and all that stuff, it's one of those things that's like, for the layman, it's scary. Tax time is scary, and you want someone you can trust. And I would think that's like the biggest thing, where people are always asking, who do you recommend? Who do you trust? Are they a good person? Do you, you don't want to you want the least amount of chance of getting audited. You want someone that you don't think is going to rip you off. You want someone that, if you have any questions, it's not going to take them like 5 million days to respond. And it's not going to be a quick little like sentence that doesn't actually answer any of your question. And like Abby said, like, a great way to overcome all that is to have them be able to personally see you right on their Facebook page or computer, and let them know that, like, oh, I relate to this person, I can trust them, right? Because at the end of the day, we buy off emotion and a feeling. And if I can personally see you and I kind of get this vibe off you that I can relate to, I'm instantly going to want to work with you, or a much higher chance of wanting to work with you.
Right.
And I would also venture to guess that in your niche, with that there are very few people who are getting on camera. So it's immediately going to help you stand out from the competition if you are that person that is courageous enough to get out from behind the desk and get on camera. I would say that's going to be a huge place to stand out from the crowd.
I think that's great. Actually, that when we start talking about differentiation when it comes to, tax and bookkeeping, that's a huge issue in the industry right now, differentiation, because people are, there's a lot of people scared of, like, almost commoditization, where it's like, oh, I just want to go after the cheapest, I just need to be the cheapest service to get the clients. And that's not true. I mean, and one way that you can really differentiate yourself is exactly what Abby and David are talking about, putting yourself out there. So
yeah, what a great way. Abby and I talk about this a lot in our programs. Is just, video is such an amazing tool to attract your ideal client. And not a lot of people are like we said, are using video. And it's just, if we told you that, like, hey, you could start doing something and your ideal clients are going to come to you, wouldn't you be like, go on?
I agree with you, man. I know I would.
Yeah.
So. Awesome. So yeah, what would you say to somebody that might be timid or maybe a little scared to put themselves out there?
We get that a lot. I mean, it's first of all, you're not alone. That is a very common thing that we hear from, entrepreneurs that we work with, business owners, things like that. Very often the things that, your strong suits are not always something that's going to make you feel comfortable being on camera. But what we really work with people on is shifting from, that fear place to really remembering, like, why you got into this in the first place, and that you are able to help people, that you have a service that solves people's problems. And that is a very powerful thing, especially when you are dealing with money it's such a high fear place for people like us who are deciding who to hire and maybe not knowing about it, or, you know, people being burned before, losing tens of thousands of dollars or things like that. You have such an opportunity to help people with your services. And so if you're able to shift away from the fear of like, what do I look like? I might look like an idiot, or I have imposter syndrome, or I, you know, fumble over my words or things like that. And if you're able to shift that perspective to, I have an opportunity to help someone, and getting on camera is going to give me the opportunity to help even more people by this, you know, and really being confident in the service you having solving problems.
I love that. I love that. Just having confidence in your service is goes a long way for sure. Having gone through definitely some nervousness about being on video myself for sure, and you know, something I'm still dealing with, but that I've come just huge strides in over the last year. I would say that I think this is something that I think one of our sales people, Brad knows, but Brad says you have to be frequent before you can get good. So I think just putting yourself out there and practicing goes a long way towards, you know, you're just going to get better and better the more that you put yourself out there and take those reps.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, just like in anything you do, practice makes perfect. And the more reps you take, the more you're going to learn, and the more you're going to get better and better. But also, what we like to talk about too is, you know, and a lot of people, reps are important, practicing is important, doing it the right way, the strategic and smart way, is really the only way to do it though, right? So like, if you're just swinging the bat and you don't know what you're doing, it's going to take you a long time to understand how to hit a baseball correctly. But if someone's showing you the way, then you're going to freaking start knocking it out of the park, right? So
yeah, especially because it's such a vulnerable thing. And so like, if you are trying it and you're doing it a lot, but you're doing it in a way that's not very effective, you might end up getting more in your way because you're going to get super frustrated, and then your confidence is going to be like dropping if you need like 20 takes to be filming a 2-minute video or something like that. That can actually end up being detrimental to you making progress versus, like David was saying, like having actual strategic tools about the way to do it.
Right. We have a good friend that you know as well, actually, Jeff Miller. And he's a prime example. He was just doing the reps on his own. This is before we ever knew him. And he was like, it took me 18 months to get good on camera. 18 months.
Wow.
And then like we were talking to him and we were like, yeah, dude, you couldn't, like 6 weeks max, and we would have had you. It's like, do you understand the amount of time I wasted? And we were like, yeah, you were just swinging a bat randomly, dude.
Yeah. So this is probably not a one question. This probably can't be answered just with one response here, but what is that, you know, how do you practice properly?
So glad you asked, Charlie. So we have a lot of techniques, but to boil it down to like a few that they can actually like take away and start implementing right now, since we have not a ton of time. One of the first things that we do is, because we write differently than we speak, a big tendency is like people will write out a big script and then try to memorize it. And that, you know, unless you're a trained actor and you're used to memorizing and being able to deliver scripted content, that ends up actually being very difficult for people. So we like to work from bullet points instead of actual full out written word by word scripts. So one of the first things that we have people do is when, you know, they come up with an idea of a topic that they're going to talk about, is starting by just doing a brainstorm. So this would be just in bullet point form, write out everything that you want to cover in that video. So this can be a stream of consciousness type thing. Don't be, you know, censoring yourself, just be listing all the things. And if there is a full sentence that you want to make sure you nail or something like that, that it's really important that you explain something a certain way, you can write, you know, full sentences here and there, but really just be brainstorming. Once you have that, then we call the next step the trim the fat process. And this is where a lot of people skip this step. And that's where you end up with like really long videos that should have been 5 minutes but are like 15 minutes because people rambled and went all over the place. So in this next step of trimming the fat, you actually go through and you start combining certain ideas. You look at everything and you go like, is this actually on topic for this video? Maybe this is a piece of content that I can save for another video, like trying to keep everything focused. And you can start also then putting it in the order that you want to be covering it in the video. David, I'm sure I left out a couple. I feel like I left out a couple steps there. Did I?
In the trim the fat?
In the trim the fat.
Well, I would say like while you're like trimming the fat and potentially creating separate content, like Abby was just saying, we always find it helpful if you kind of ask yourself questions like, okay, how can I say this more simply? How can I say this more quickly? How can I say this maybe with a story, right? Because a lot of people relate to, when you tell a story, a lot of people can relate to that and be like, oh, I went through that, or et cetera, et cetera. So we always say, ask yourself those types of questions, because that's also going to make your video a lot tighter and more.
Yes.
I love that. So these are some awesome tips, guys. I love this.
Well, then you're going to love the next tip.
Oh, man. There's more.
So after you do those brainstorming and trim the fat, like Abby was just saying, you want to move into rehearsal.
No, David, why?
Because this is how you get good, Abigail. So rehearsal is so important. And a lot of the people right off the bat tell us, oh, you know, like, David, Abby, I don't have time to rehearse. I'm so busy. And then we're like, oh, cool. So, but you had time to do 20 takes in 2 hours of getting frustrated and messing up over and over and over, and then all that editing? Well, no. Cool. So what if we reallocate that time? We do stuff up front where we rehearse, and now you are in way less than 1 to 2 hours are going to have a stellar video, right? So the rehearsal is important. So what you do with that is you want to take the time to basically start developing your bullet points into a script. And you do that by talking out loud. So I think Abby already said this, we write very differently than we talk. So when you start rehearsing out loud and like kind of going over your bullet points, that's where you're going to be like, oh, wait, that's not how I talk. That's not how I say things. Let me kind of readjust that. Let me actually put that there, et cetera, et cetera. And a tip that we highly suggest while you're rehearsing out loud is do it while you're multitasking. So while you're doing the dishes, while you're folding laundry. I actually do it a lot while I'm driving my car somewhere, right? 1, I'm saving time. But 2, and Abby and I don't have the actual science.
You always say we don't. Just say it's science.
It's science, but we don't have a scientific name, I was going to say, because I don't remember the name. But when we multitask and we do that things, for some reason, it just seeps into our brain better. And so when you're actually in front of that camera, you do just kind of know it cold, right? And it just comes out of your brain naturally. And since you've worked it out loud, you know all the ins and outs, and you know exactly what you want to say, and you know how to, certain words you're going to hear that you say aloud, and it's going to trigger the next sentence for you.
And what's important when you do this is not to get stuck in one delivery, but to practice saying it a bunch of different ways, so that you don't end up with like a monotone robotic type video. Like, this is your opportunity to, explore a variety of deliveries. And since you mentioned that, we might have a lot of introverts in the group.
Oh, I know what I was about to say.
I'm going to have David explain, because this is his favorite exercise. This is our number one exercise for introverts. And it works for everyone, but especially if you're introverted, what David's about to tell you is going to make your videos so much better.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if you feel you're introverted, shy, quiet, any of that, when you're rehearsing, once you've kind of gotten it down, you've practiced it different ways, we highly suggest you do it what we call the over the top exercise. And what that means is you're still rehearsing it just like you've been doing, but now if you've been doing it at 100%, you're going to do it at 300%, right? You're going to be saying things like this and blah, blah. If you're like me, I'd be in crazy town. But if you're an introvert, even though you think you're in crazy town, most likely you're now at a level that is coming across very extroverted, pleasant, not monotone, not robotic. And a big thing you can do to see this, and again, this is something we crucially recommend, is to record yourself doing this over the top practice, and not to post anywhere. This is for your personal. Record yourself doing that over the top, then play it back. Then you can actually see yourself and be like, oh, I thought I was like at a level 96 when really I was just like way down here. Like, I'm fine. That looks great, actually. And yeah, there might be times where you were like, okay, that was a little too much. But then you know, okay, I was great through this point, and then I went a little too crazy town, so I know to bring it down there. And now all of a sudden you have this video with levels.
Mm-hmm. And you've broken through that like energy cap that you were like placing on yourself, because a lot of people think like, I just can't go further than that, or I can't be more personable than that. And it just really, that exercise helps bust through all of those limitations. And so then now you know the actual levels that you have to play with, you know the notes that you can hit, and you've just opened yourself up to so much more possibility there.
That is awesome. I freaking love that. So yeah, guys, I'm going to be doing that like today. So yeah,
and then
that's
let
awesome.
us know how it goes. That's actually like one of the top things that like when we do interviews and things like that, it's something that's a big thing that you can like take away. And if you take one thing away to try right away, like try that and let us know in the comments like how it goes. We would love to hear that.
Awesome. Yeah. Are you guys enjoying this? Feel free to put any questions in the comment section. I know I haven't really seen too much in here, but yeah, any questions, #video. If you're enjoying this, is that a good one? #video?
Sure.
Sure.
Hashtag confidence.
#confidence.
Boom.
Hashtag quarterly taxes. No, is that one not fun?
9:15.
Yeah. And I'd love like and guide us, but like I think it might be good to talk about like specific types of content that accountants and bookkeepers could specifically be doing. Would that be helpful to your audience?
Yeah, I think that'd be super helpful.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know you work with them on marketing strategies, and that is awesome. Like an additional thing that they can start doing right away is something that works really well are like 90-second value videos, or if you're going to do them on Instagram as well, they can be 60 seconds, but really short, bite-sized pieces of value that your ideal client could be learning from. So you guys with accountants, you have so much. So like if you do any kind of customer research, David even dropped some like fears that us normal people have about working with accountants, but there's I'm sure you guys have tons of research of like what are the most asked questions you get, what are the biggest fears when it comes to people hiring somebody. It could be a video on like the top reason that people end up overpaying taxes at the end of the year, and you do a 90-second video on something. It could be how
to dramatically lower your chances of getting audited.
Yeah.
What to do if you get audited.
That's a good one. Or even a reminder of like, hey, quarterly taxes are coming up, and if you're working with someone who hasn't sent you a reminder, you're working with the wrong kind of person, and here's how we can help you with that. So like all these types of videos, one, position you as an authority, as somebody who knows what they're talking about. It gives you an opportunity to give them a sense of what it's like to work with you. So it's like a little sample of what talking to you and working with you is like. And it builds that trust factor, because if you know what you're talking about and you are, like David was saying, it's like, for us, it's like we want to work with an accountant who is going to answer our questions. Like a lot of times people just don't even engage, and it's like, what, like I need more. And so this is like another opportunity to show what that's going to be like for them. So video is such an excellent way to be doing that. And I bet on one day you could film 10 pieces of content of like the greatest fears that people have, and then you could drip them out, over the course of, a few months, couple months.
And I think, we want to make sure that we say this, because if you guys people watching aren't used to making videos, you might be thinking, I don't have a camera. I don't have all this sound equipment. I don't have lighting. Like, how am I ever going to do this? That's right, Abby. So don't worry about that stuff. The way our smartphones are now, the smartphone cameras, they are so good. Your iPhone, your Galaxy, whatever, is way more than enough.
Or your laptop, like a lot of people's like your webcam is
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. Is my Motorola Razr going to work?
Oh, cool, dude. You're a time traveler.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so that's
Yeah.
more than enough. And obviously you want to make sure they can see your face. It's not too dark. And that they can hear you clearly, but the built-in microphones in your camera and your laptops are more than enough. So really, you don't have to overthink this. You already have, if you are watching this right now, you have all the equipment you need to make these quick little videos that are really gonna make you stand out from the crowd and give you that trust and brand authority.
And they work great like across platforms. So you can have them on Facebook, you can have them on Instagram, you can have them on LinkedIn. It's just like you can make one piece of content that you can repurpose across platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if that's not, if editing's not your strong suit or anything like that, I mean, you could delegate something like that to a VA or Fiverr for like not very much money.
And if you have,
or if you use our tactics, you can do it in one take.
ding, ding, ding. Or I mean, realistically, like you should be able to do it in one take if you start using our tactics. But while you get used to that, if you have like, let's say like a Mac, if you're at least using our tactics, iMovie's so easy that you're gonna have to be doing the most simplest editing. The most simple. And this is not a real way to say that, but you'll be doing such simple editing. It's
or pay a VA $3.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I completely agree with you guys with it being 2019. I think bite-sized content is just 100% the way to go. Like people's attention span is like nothing nowadays. So just, you want those quick hitting videos. I completely agree with that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I don't see any, does anybody have any comments or any questions here? I want to make sure we talk a little bit about where these guys can find you. Cause I mean, I want, love to hear a little bit where we can reach out to you and learn a little bit more about how to be confident on camera.
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing would be we're on Facebook. So we're in the comments here, so you can friend us. And we actually do love, since we're always refining our content, if you're watching this on the replay or watching it now, if you wanted to DM either of us with like your number one takeaway from what you learned today, that's something that's always beneficial to us, so we can be continuing to refine our content. And then if you are interested in learning more about how to be confident and authentic on camera, how to leverage your video, all the different types of content that you can be creating, we have a course and a coaching program called Crushing It on Camera. And you can find us at www.crushingitonCamera.com, and we'll drop the link in below. So we go through the types of people that come into our program are business owners, entrepreneurs, online marketers, course creators, and we give them all of the tools with practical exercises and things like that so that they can knock out all of their videos in 3 takes or less. And all of the different ways to getting the most engagement on your videos so that people are watching through to the end, which is very important. If you have a call to action at the end, you want to make sure people are watching through to the end. So we cover all of that and more in our program.
And so by the time you'll leave, you'll actually have videos
created.
Boom. Mic drop.
Love it. Awesome, guys. Well, it was amazing to have you guys here. Abby, David, you guys are freaking rock stars. So thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any more questions for us on the replay, you can drop them below and you can just tag us and we'll hop back on and answer.
Yep. We got you. All right, guys. Thanks again. And we'll talk to you all here soon. Okay.
All right. Have a good one. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, guys.